Straight facts with Big Steve. It's Thursday. The Premier League is closing in on what I think is going to be an amazing return. Lots to go through with Steve today. But before we do that, how are you, mate? How are you enjoying the international break?
Yeah, it was good. I never enjoy international breaks, I'll be honest with you. It's I even went to Poland when England were playing and just didn't go and watch England. I just went and did tourist stuff because, yeah, international break for me, it's not for me. I'm not a fan of Gareth Southgate and I just can't get behind it. You know what I mean? Went to the Euros and all the finals and all that. Thought football was coming home and all that. And nah, just get the normal football back for me.
Mate, I agree. This week was nicely broken up for me because I had my auntie's funeral, and as sad as it was better than watching international football, if I'm being honest with you. So big up that for being in the international break. Just so everyone knows, my family has a sick sense of humor, and it's my family, so I can joke about it in case any of you snowflakes get offended. So yeah, that broke up my week nicely and put a nice little, Tuesday day out, as it were. It was actually, do you know what? After the funeral, it was quite nice being with my brothers and family in a pub having some drinks. Actually a good time, and I think that's the best way to end a funeral. But you can only really, I don't know if you've been in a situation when you're like the main people organizing it, you can kind of do what you guys want. When you're at somebody else's funeral and it might be family or a friend and you're not in control, you've got to be really quiet and somber. But when it's like me and my brother running the show, it's like, yeah, let's just get drunk. Let's have fun. Let's have a bit of a party. That's how we like to celebrate life. So there we go. But we'll move on. I wanted to ask you, first of all, Paul Pogba. I've spoken about this on camera, but it does look like he has taken testosterone. I did see a few of his fans kind of defending him, stating that it's some food that he's eaten. And genuinely, I don't know what food has testosterone in it. And that's a real genuine question. Maybe I'm not too sure. But he's asked for the test results to be kind of dissected by experts to try and create a counterclaim. But a lot of people think that this is going to come back as it's right. There's too much testosterone in your body. They believe he has taken that drug. I mean, first of all, why do you think Paul Pogba has potentially done this?
Well, if you look at his career and the way it's gone, I think the last couple of years, due to injury and things at Man United and stuff, and the allegations with his brother and people trying to extortion money out of him, and that, I just don't think he's in a good place. I don't think he's in a good place off the pitch. I don't think he's in a good place on the pitch because he's never on the pitch because he's always injured. So, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if, he's tried to accelerate his, recovery, or he's tried to give himself an edge or something. And it's just obviously backfired on him. But I think he's in a downward spiral. I don't think he's well liked at Juventus with the supporters now. I think they're thinking he's taking the piss. And it is what it is. Look, everyone's going to jump on you. As soon as you're guilty of anything, everyone jumps on your back. A lot of people don't know the facts. You see this a lot in different sports where somebody gets banned and then they have like an investigation and then they get cleared and they find it was something else. So, it could be something else. It could be medication. You don't know, but it doesn't look good for the lad. It doesn't. This stage in his career, I know he's won a World Cup and things like that, but come on, the talent he had and the way he was, he should have had a lot more trophies in the cabinet. He should have done a lot.
Internationally, he's had a fantastic career. I would say at club level, based on his talent and how good he was, he's had a very disappointing club career. I'm just reading, someone sent me through the link. So yeah, Paul Pogba has admitted to Juventus that he took some food supplements. So some of the quote tweets I read just said food, not knowing they contained testosterone that led to his positive drugs test and provisional 4-year ban. That's from Julien Laurence. Again, for me though, not knowing it didn't have it in there is not a good enough excuse. That maybe he won't get a 4-year ban because of it. But if you're given a supplement, you have to be 100% sure. You can't, I need a pill to help with X, Y, and Z. If someone just gives you it, you've got to have full trust. And if it's your doctor or your nutritionist that's doing that, by proxy, that's still you at the end of the day. But I kind of agree with you. It's sad. I feel like Paul's body's letting down the last 3 to 4 years. One of the main reason I didn't want him to renew at United is because he wanted 450 grand a week. And I didn't see how we got enough games out of him for that money due to his injuries. Barely kicked a ball since he left us. And I almost feel like there's an element here of, and I get it and understand it, like desperation to get back. And testosterone, by the way, like if you take this and entry, you can be like a 45, 50-year-old man, start taking testosterone. You can train like you're 25, 30 again. Like bodybuilders talk about this. That's just testosterone, not anabolic steroids and things like that. Just by the increase of testosterone, because your body starts to lose it as you hit your early 30s. So I'm not part of me isn't surprised to see this. Maybe out of desperation, a lot of sprinters do it. A lot of athletes take performance-enhancing drugs when they're struggling because they're so desperate to get back to the peak of their powers. But if he's proven guilty, being already 30, if he ends up getting 4 years out, he may as well just retire. You would think, because what's he, 34 when he can kick a ball again? That's the end of him, surely.
Yeah. Like I say, his career's on a downward spiral. He came to Man United. He was on top of the world. He was winning things with Juventus, and we thought, wow, Paul Pogba's here. He's going to take the Premier League by storm. He's going to drag Man United to the big trophies. And he didn't, you know what I mean? He flattered to deceive. He wasn't consistent enough. And you got his fanboys and they all what talk about him. But at the end of the day, he won't be going down in Man United as a Man United legend. He won't be going down in history as doing anything special at Manchester United Football Club. He'll just be going down as a waste of time. And at the end of the day, they let him go for free. They bought him back for 100 million. Then they let him go again for free. So, yeah, I feel sorry for him if he's took something he shouldn't have took. But when you're a professional footballer and you've been in the game a long time, you have your own doctor, you have your own nutritionists who tell you what to do. So I don't know, but listen, no one's asked. It's Paul Pogba. He's gone from these shores. He won't be remembered for anything he did on these shores, and he's probably better off retiring and going to LA and playing basketball like he used to do when he couldn't be asked at United. So yeah, just whatever.
I hear what you're saying there. Tad here says Pogba had all the ability and talent to become a Hall of Fame player. Instead, he just ended up nothing more than a trademark, big, wasted talent. Yeah, look, I think in French football, because of what he did and how good he was at the World Cup they won, I think he'll be remembered. But as I say, at club level, you know, look, he won some trophies at Man United in that first season, scored in, you know, a European final for us. I have fond memories of him. He came for our academy. I'll remember him. But in terms of what I expected him to deliver for my club, it didn't happen. And I do read a lot that we should have built a team around him. I think we tried to. I think we tried to. We might have bought players that didn't quite work. But he played with some other good midfielders. He played with some good players around him as well. He was part of the reason that we failed, though. The same as Alexis Sanchez was part of that reason, and Donny van der Beek's been part of that issue, and Maguire's part of the issue, and Fellaini, and so many players that we have bought, Di Maria, Falcao, that we've bought that have never fulfilled their potential. And I think what really irks me at the minute with a lot of United fans, and there's a lot of issues at our club, is they attack the less talented players more than they do the more talented players who didn't deliver either. It's almost like McTominay will get more hate than a Pogba, will get more hate than a Falcao, will get more hate than a who else? Alexis Sanchez. But how can the expectation on a Scott McTominay be as high as the expectation of players with the ability of Pogba's and Sancho's and Alexis Sanchez's? It's weird. It's a warped way of kind of looking at the world. Terry, you had Pogba playing DM. Yeah, look, he did play there sometimes. There's no doubt. But he also had many, many games where he played in a far more advanced role. He had some really good periods for the club, but he didn't deliver consistently enough. He just didn't do it consistently enough. And some of it, I will look at the manager and go, yeah, systems, etc., etc. But then it didn't kill everybody. Didn't kill everybody off. And again, if we're going to use the managers as the reason that Pogba didn't make it, I don't want to see any slander towards any player. Because if Pogba didn't make it, and Sancho hasn't made it, and I don't know, Zlatan didn't make it in people's eyes, and Falcao and Cavani, if that's all because of the manager's tactics and the system and what the players that were around them, how are we attacking the less talented players and blaming them? When if the more talented players struggle because of the system, wouldn't a less talented player struggle even more? Again, the arguments, Maradona, don't make sense to me. Wasn't Pogba a commercial signing for Joel Glazer? there was an element of that, but he was highly talented and should have delivered more. I don't think it's not a good enough excuse to just say, well, he was a commercial signing, so therefore we didn't need him to deliver. He had to. So simple and as straightforward as that for me. There's a super chat from Will here for you, Steve, that says, question for Big Steve. My stepson is 21 soon and a City fan. Best way of getting a tour or something sorted. I know these things are hard. I'm Arsenal. Will we see Dory this year? I don't know what the end bit means, but you want to get a tour sorted. Is that just, you can just book that through the club, can't you?
Book that through the club, get on the website, get on a tour. I think there's about 5 or 6 a day. So, tell them to get on it. No, there's a nice treble knocking about around there. You can have your picture with. Not many can have the picture with that. There's a Super Cup there as well. So there's 4 there at the minute. So, I think you should go, Will. Take your Arsenal top off and get your picture with all 4 trophies because you ain't seeing them 4 for a while.
Well, yeah, it's we'll be getting onto that a little bit later in the show. Thank you for that super chat, mate. I really do appreciate it. Now, another mad thing that's been discussed today, that's trending everywhere, that people are really getting stuck into, is question: is Harry Maguire being bullied? Has he become a scapegoat? In fact, his mum has put out a post saying, as a mum, seeing the level of negative and abusive comments in which my son is receiving from fans, pundits, and the media is disgraceful and totally unacceptable to any walk of life, never mind someone who works his socks off for his club and country. I was there in the stands as usual. It's not acceptable what's being created over nothing. I understand that in the football world, there are ups and downs, positives and negatives, but what Harry receives has gone far beyond football. For me, seeing him go through what he's going through is not okay. I would hate to have to see any other parent or player go through this in future, especially the young boys and girls breaking through the ranks today. Harry has a massive heart and it's a good job. He's mentally strong and can handle it, as others may not be able to do so. I wish this sort of abuse on nobody. So his mum's coming out and saying that it's gone beyond belief. A lot of media pundits now are blaming Man United. They're blaming Ten Hag. They're blaming Man United fans, saying that between the manager, the club, and the fans, he's being scapegoated. He's never really been a problem. So why does he get so much hate? What's your stance on this? I mean, you're a rival of Man United. I'm not sure you don't want to be defending the club or defending our ex-captain, but what's your kind of take and stance on this?
He's a grown-ass man. He's a football player. You know what I mean? There's lots of players get abuse out there. It is what it is. You know what I mean? He shouldn't be so shit. If he was any good, then the City fans won't, and the people won't give him shit. If you're shit, if I'm playing shit, I expect grief, yeah? I ain't going to my mum and telling my mum that the people are shouting at me because I'm shit and scoring own goals. I'm just taking it on the chin. But Harry Maguire, his time at Man United has not been good. Harry Maguire has not delivered. Harry Maguire has been a laughingstock. And he had the opportunity to leave Manchester United and go to West Ham, yeah, a lot lesser club. He just won a European trophy. He could have slotted in at West Ham. He could have played consistently, rebuilt his career, rebuilt his confidence, and ended up nobody blinked an eyelid, but he's not. He's staying at Man United for the dough. He's not good enough for Man United, so he's staying there for the dough. He plays for England because he's Southgate's mate. That's it. And you're not very good, mate. So you're going to get grief. So at the end of the day, don't go crying to your mum. Take it on the chin. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You're a footballer. They'll pick on someone else soon. There'll be somebody else scoring own goals. There'll be somebody else doing something daft. But the fact your mum's making a statement is making it worse. If your agent came out and said it, maybe. Or United came out and said it, maybe. But your mum, you know what I mean? The guy was getting nicked in Mykonos the other year for throwing his weight around in bars and that. So he's not having the best of times. So the best thing to do, I would do, is just come off social media, concentrate on football, and try and get some sort of respect back. You know what I mean? But getting your mum to come out and fight your battles, is that your mum going to see the head teacher when, you know, you used to say to your mum, don't go, mum, you make it worse and that. You know, you'll make it worse, you'll get me after school and that. And then your mum goes in and causes murders. That's what's happened there. So it's going to be worse now.
I would say 90% of what I see pundits and the media and fans say, forget trolls who are nameless and faceless, because if you're upset by people that don't show their face or their name, I've always found that crazy to me, because they're not real people. If it's coming from real people, you know, like kids that get bullied online by their friends from school, like they're saying nasty things, I get that hurting. That's children again, by the way. If it's people you work with and it's really them doing it, it's sad. If there's some troll that you don't know, that you're never going to meet, that's just sending you horrible DMs, you can just hit the block button and they go away, right? And if you don't
what about Sol Campbell? Sol Campbell. The abuse Sol Campbell got was on a different planet. That wasn't people calling you names. That was ruthless death threats. Sol Campbell still gets it to this day. David Beckham. They were hanging effigies from
David Beckham, as you say, he got into the top 3 in the Ballon d'Or nominations a season that the whole country booed him at every step of the way. Back then, the Spice Girls were still together, I believe. Victoria Beckham got booed on stage because she was Victoria Beckham because he got sent off. That was levels like nobody had seen before. Now, social media didn't exist, I understand. But as you say, just hand your social media over to a management team. So what I would say to his mum is this. I don't think he's being bullied or scapegoated. He has been horrendous I don't think he's been bad since the moment he joined United. I think the first year, 18 months, he was good. I've always said that. But the last 2.5 years at the club, he has been nothing short of catastrophic. Also, I defended him a year ago when he was getting booed in an England shirt when he was still playing well for us. But everything I said would happen has transpired. Not because I'm a genius, but because this is the typical way it goes. It's just experience of watching football long enough. The less he plays, of course, the more rusty he is. Then what you've heard from rival fans is banter. So when he came on against Arsenal, the fans cheered. Arsenal fans cheered. The Scots, the other night, every time he went to kick a ball, they're winding him up. They're getting in his head because they know he's susceptible to making a mistake because he's applying so much of this pressure to himself. The manager of Man United has said to you, you can stay here and fight for a place if you want, but you are 4th to 5th choice. Or you can leave if we get an acceptable bid. He could have gone. If he went West Ham, he could make 5 times as many mistakes. Nobody would care. There's going to be no compilations. No one's going to care if he's in the England squad. He'll be left alone. It's because he went to United as a record fee, flopped, become captain and had it stripped, and then has refused to leave purely for money. The nonsense, I'm going to get back in. You're not getting back into the Man United first team on a regular basis. You are behind a left back. You are behind a left back. The manager would rather re-sign Johnny Evans, which was a mistake in itself, by the way, because the club should have given the manager more money, but rather re-sign Johnny Evans and play you. And if everybody's fit, he does not kick a ball. And for me, like his mum coming out and doing this, listen, I just don't see what he gets as abusive. People are just saying, you're playing crap and you shouldn't be in the England team. You're playing crap. You shouldn't be on the pitch for Man United. That isn't abuse. I'd call that criticism. Yes, some people have done some.
I'm his agent, yeah. If I'm his agent, as soon as West Ham come, I'm saying, look, West Ham's a good club, man. They've just won a European trophy. You're going to play week in, week out. There's not going to be that pressure on you that Man United. Man United is the most pressure in the league that you get. You see players go there and the pressure's on them non-stop. He's not built for that. He's tried it. It didn't work. Take the wage cut. Go to West Ham. Rebuild your career. I do think he's a good player deep down inside, but he has to play regular. He can't come in dribs and drabs. It just doesn't suit him. He has to play regular, get his rhythm, get back. At West Ham, he'd have done that under Moyes. It's his type of football. He'd have had a great career. He's just prolonging more and more. He said, you don't want anyone to feel unhappy. You don't want that to happen, but he's not helping himself, Terry, and the people around him aren't helping himself. And that's his problem for me. Yeah.
His biggest issue, I think is spot on, is the people around him. They believe they're doing him a turn. They believe they're helping him. His mum, listen, and bless her. She's a mum. She probably is feeling it. She's his mum. I understand that as a parent, but it isn't going to help. I remember when I was a kid, and probably not the right way in 2023 to handle it. There's a couple of kids on the estate that went to my school. They were kind of bullying me and my little brother. And I don't even know what they were doing to us now, but I remember a bit worried to go out. They weren't even older kids. They were about the same age as us, but they were like part of a tough group on the estate. And I went and told my dad, I said, Dad, what do I do? And I told my brother first, and basically said to my big brother, can you come back me up type thing? And Daniel's like, nah, you should sort it out yourself. I was only young, about 9, 10. I told my dad. My dad just basically said, in this circumstance, if I come down and tell them to leave you alone, my dad was like, they're going to bully you more because they're not going to be scared of me. They know a grown man's not going to do anything to them. So you've got to go down there and face up to it. And I did. Tell them to leave me alone. And one of them squared up to me and we had a fight. I lost that fight. This kid was really tough. He ended up going on to be one of my best friends after that, though, because I stood up for myself. And sometimes I just look at this circumstance and go, his mum, I get I understand what she's doing, but she is going to make this worse now. His PR team, his agent, they always make it worse because they don't wake up and smell the coffee. That people are only angry with Maguire because he's been awful for ages. Nobody wants to admit it. Nobody wants. It's almost like they say, well, if you're an alcoholic, the first thing you have to admit is that you're an alcoholic. Until you admit you are, you can't ever get better. And that's the problem with Maguire. I truly believe that he and the people around him are so delusional, with their head so far up their asses, they probably believe he's still performing to one of the highest levels in the world. I really think they believe that. You know, when you see those singers go up on the stage in the X Factor and they are horrendous, and when Simon Cowell says you can't sing, they lose their temper. That's because their whole life, everybody around them has told them they're Mariah Carey. And they're not. You have to tell people the truth. You know, I've got a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And my 8-year-old boy is good at football. I don't know whether he can be a pro. I like sometimes putting him into I'm like, go and play with the older kids. I want to see how you fare against them. But I believe if you're like a 10-year-old kid and you're one of the best in your year, but you go up against a kid that's 12 or 13 and they strip you, my general feeling is you're probably not going to make it as a pro. Now, I'm not going to tell Archie that at 8 years old. However, I look at it as as he starts getting a little bit older and understand things, I'll start to slowly say, look, I know you love football, keep playing, keep it as a passion, but definitely work on other skills and areas, because you'll know as a parent whether your kid is good enough to play pro football. You only have to research how good all the current stars were when they were kids. One of my friends played professionally. League One level was the highest he went to. This kid was like my age, 12, 13, was playing with the year 11s in the school team and was smashing it. That's how good he was, and he only got to League One. So if you've got a kid who's 12 years old and they're really good, but they're just really good at that age group, they're probably not going to become a professional football player. That's just but you got tough love is so important. And I think it's gone in this generation. Honestly, tough love is finished. No one, it's weird to me. And that's what's ruining Maguire. Superchats here says, can't take the heat, then get out of Manchester United. I agree. Maguire's form dropped massively and he picked up by Ollie. Picked by Ollie has started it, compounded by Maguire blaming everyone else and taking zero responsibility. No, you're correct. Ollie should have dropped him and didn't do it and overly protected him. And that shouldn't have happened. Simple and straight. Who was the captain's armband normally at your club last season? Is it Gundogan?
Gundogan, yeah.
Gundogan. He was your captain, but I remember there being plenty of times where he weren't starting games, depending on who else was in form and things like this. And that's how it should be. This notion that Chelsea fans are worried about it at the minute that Ben Chilwell's going to keep playing because he's the captain now, because Reece James is out. And it's like, well, he's going to keep playing because he's the captain. For me, it should never be the case. If you're not playing well enough, you ride the bench or you're dropped. It doesn't matter if you're the captain, but that's just me. Prayers to all the people who are having the time of their lives. Thank you very, very much, my friend. Thank you much. I've already done those other 2 super chats there, but yeah, I think the Maguire thing is just a madness, really. And as you say, imagine your mum coming out, your mum, you know, bless his heart. Maguire's mum might tell him he's shit behind the scenes. Can't blame her for feeling that way or saying what she did. I don't think she is, mate, because if she did that, she'd also say the best way to make this calm down is say nothing. Sometimes I've been giving this advice to people on socials for years. Some people follow it and they tell me it works perfectly. Others ignore it and the situations get worse. If you respond to trolls, if I get a DM today from someone saying you're this, that, and the other, Terry, and I hope your kids get cancer. I've had that. If I screenshot it and show it and go, I can't believe people have said this, I will get 3, 4, 5, 6 more of them, because some people, that's how they get their kicks. If you get a sexist or, you know, any kind of offensive message, if you start broadcasting, you're getting it. As much as in that first moment, you get a lot of sympathy and people make you feel better, you get more trolls. They spread it's like throwing water over gremlins. That's exactly what it does. What you need to sometimes do is suffocate it by not giving it any oxygen. And it does. I'm telling you now, for someone who works in this industry, who has suffered huge levels of abuse, it goes away. But the more you do it, people go, you're receptive to that. There's another YouTuber once that spoke about a really emotive element of his life, something that's really sad for him. And I remember saying to him, brother, you shouldn't have said that. I said, why? I said, because now you've said it really upsets you when people say it to you. You're going to, the abuse around that subject matter is going to increase tenfold. I remember he messaged me about a month later, going, mate, the amount of abuse I'll get for that. I said, exactly. And it isn't because it is because they're horrible people, but people will always try and pull on a thread that they know is vulnerable to you. So what you have to do is not give it any oxygen. And what Maguire's mum has done is she for me, it's lamb to the slaughter now. It's going to be even worse for him. It's going to be even worse, 100%. That's a mad comment, fam. What do you mean his mum tells him he's shit? There's no way his mum. There's no way that his mum does that. Read the room, lady, is what Kay says here. I don't think Chilwell's playing because he's captain. It's because Mudryk has been bad. No, I hear you. I'm just telling you what we've had Chelsea fans say on the channel, my bro, but I appreciate what you're saying. Man United fan channels constantly talking and hating on Maguire like they did Phil Jones. They've got a right to criticize him. Again, I know that you're referring to Goldbridge, and I'll defend Mark Goldbridge here. Mark Goldbridge is just criticized. I've never, again, unless there's clips I haven't seen, I'm not going to profess to watch every minute of every video. But he criticizes him as a player. Yes, in the moment in a watch along, he might call him a clown or say he's an idiot or say he was rubbish, but he's talking about what he's doing on the football pitch. That is not abuse. That is criticism. That, by the way, Steve, you're a regular football fan. You go to games. I guarantee if Haaland misses a couple of open goals, people will shout at him and go, and be annoyed at him at the game, right? And that's Haaland.
So I've seen somebody in the City end say, "Fuck off, Haaland, you shit." Seriously. But it's 52 goals. Someone said that. Everyone just looked at the guy, was like, "You what?" And he was like, "Well, he fucking." And I was like, "Oh, mate, just sack it." But people say shit in the moment, don't they? That's just the way it is.
Exactly. You know, it's you say these things. That's why watch-alongs are interesting. I think in watch-alongs or the first minute or two of someone's match reaction, I'm not saying don't take it seriously, but the emotions are high. And when your emotions are high, you don't always articulate yourself in the way in which you would want to. But that's just me. But viewers, let us know what you think about this situation. I wanted to ask you as well, the interesting poll that's come out today. Now, viewers, you're going to love this one because I want to get your take on this and get your opinions on it as well. But the worst signing of the season, The Athletic spoke to a number of agents, I don't know how many it was, 20 top football agents, and got them to rank the worst signings of the season so far. 6 of them have voted for Kai Havertz to Arsenal. Interestingly, 5 have said that Caicedo to Chelsea is the worst deal of the summer. 3 said Mason Mount to Manchester United. Then 1 vote each for Højlund, Palmer, Koulibaly, Endo to Liverpool, and interestingly, Divock Origi. Would you agree with that? Do you think that has been the worst signing of the summer so far?
I mean, it's only 4 games, isn't it? So it's like you can't really judge it. You know what I mean? Havertz could have 6 bad games and then all of a sudden go on a run and be magical. You just don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of people are starving for content. So there's literally fucking, if you're asking agents for the worst sign of the season after 4 games, you're literally starving for fucking content, in my opinion. But I just think we just got to judge it. 10 games, yeah. 10 games, you start to see the table shape. You start to see things happening and that. But I don't know. I don't know. Havertz is a strange one, but you got to give him time, man. You got to give him time. I know he's had time at Chelsea. We know that, but sick of talking about him. You know what I mean? The Arsenal fans are raging about him already, and he's 4 games in. Just, let the season go a few more weeks, another 6-7 games, and we'll see. That's what I'd say. That's what I'd say anyway.
Interestingly, so there's been a statement regarding Jadon Sancho by Manchester United that has just come out that I want to switch attention to quickly. And the statement says, Jadon Sancho will remain on a personal training program away from the first team group pending a resolution of a squad disciplinary issue. So, look, he's deleted the tweet, as we know. But he will not be training with the first team squad, which means he will not be starting unless it gets resolved today or tomorrow. As of right now, he will not return to the first team of Manchester United. The club and the manager are punishing him, not just, I think, for his outburst publicly, but for also not maintaining standards at training and at the club. So, listen, he might turn it round, of course, but not a good look for him, a terrible look for the people that defended him, that said that the manager must have made this up. Because again, if the manager and the club are lying about him now and really throwing him under a bus, if he was really telling the truth, he'd come out and say something, wouldn't he? Because he'd be like, hang on a minute, I've done nothing wrong. You're just forcing me out. And he deleted his message. You know, I feel for Jadon as well. I think there's a talent in there. I feel like the club's got to try and help him more. However, maybe they feel like, Steve, they've done enough, done all they can, maybe.
3 years ago, 2 years ago, maybe, Big Six show, Jadon Sancho, yeah? They were all telling me on there, he was better than Foden. He's done to do this. Look at him at Dortmund. He's playing for England. Pep Guardiola dropped a ball at da-da-da-da. I turned around and said on there, it's on the internet, go and find it, that Jadon Sancho has got a bad attitude problem. Yeah? And they said, oh, no, it's you, Steve. You just don't like players like that. And you're racist and all that. Load of shit. Yeah? I know people in that Man City Academy that trained him. I know people that were with him. I know ex-players that played with him. And they said, the kid's just got this issue. He's just, I don't know what it is. He's got all the talent in the world, but he's a bad egg. He's come to Man United again, the pressure and everything out. They took him out for 3 months, let him have a break. He's seen him running around and training, looked really good. He's come back. Has anything changed? No. Can he get it? This is one of the worst Manchester United teams, yeah, we have seen in years. And he can't get in that team. He doesn't stand out in that team. He don't shine in that team. Now he's causing a discipline problem. All them young kids in the academy are looking up to him. What example is it? Time to get rid of him. It's another 75, 80 million they've wasted down the drain. It's all right buying these players, but who does character references? Who's looking at the overall picture of it? Because Man City do. Manchester City signed Gabriel Jesus. They knew his school reports and everything about the character of him. They read into everything. Jadon Sancho, the red flag should have been, yeah, he's a great player, but are we as a club so strict in discipline that we can grab this player and put him on the straight and narrow? Alex Ferguson could have done it. That's why Alex Ferguson wanted Paul Gascoigne, because he knew he was a mad talent, but he was wild, and he knew Fergie would have got him. He went somewhere else, he was chaos. Sancho's come to United. He's had Solskjaer. He's had, fucking Ragnick. You know what I mean? These players ain't got the discipline. There's nobody there grabbing him and saying, look, you're going to waste your opportunity. And now look at him now. He can't even get in the team.
Do you know what's interesting about it? This is the thing. I am not judging Jadon Sancho on a personal level in any capacity, because being a bad egg professionally, having a bad attitude in training, doesn't mean you're a horrible person. Because I've seen some people online go, but I've met Jadon Sancho. He's lovely. He's a great guy. He isn't a bad person. And I think, again, it's about, and that's what I think longer format content
Nobody's saying he's a bad person, but if you've got an attitude where you think you're bigger than you are, then it's different.
Mate, listen, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Longer format content means you can explore these things. There is a difference from not following professional instruction, training to the right standards, turning up on time, being a bad egg professionally. There's a difference between that and being a bad, horrible, hostile person. I'm sure Jadon Sancho, I never met the guy. I'm sure on a personal level, he's an absolute gem. I've worked with people that are lovely blokes, but when it comes to the professional side of them, they've pissed me off, or they haven't delivered, or they've got an issue sometimes. And it just happens. And what you said there is spot on, though. I blame Man United for this, because there is a lack of due diligence at this club. And I've been talking about it now for a decade consistently. We should know about these things. And if you're looking to sign a player, he might be the exact talent profile, ability profile. He might have every attribute you want. But you read these reports and references, and it's late to training and this and that and all these. That should be a red flag where you say, do you know what? We need to avoid this individual, because for as talented as they are, there's a huge risk. And I've given this example 100 times. A great film that people should watch with Kevin Costner called Draft Day. And as everyone's expecting him on draft day in the NFL to pick this young quarterback. And the reason he doesn't do it gets revealed at the end. And everyone said he was mad. And he said, look, I've got here a report from the police from his 21st birthday when he was at college. And it shows a list of everyone that was arrested. And the first response is, but it's not abnormal for people to get arrested on their 21st birthday. It doesn't make him a bad person. He said, that isn't what I'm worried about. He said, everyone at the party was arrested and not one of his teammates was at his 21st birthday party. And it's stuck with that little bit of the film was stuck with me forever when it comes to thinking about the due diligence at my football club, because what that told the general manager of this NFL team was, if none of his teammates turned up, there's something wrong with him. in terms of the way people feel about him. And I don't want to bring that characteristic into our changing room, onto our field. And and listen, it isn't just about Jadon. It's about a number of players at the football club. We should never have brought Alexis Sanchez in. He only turned his head from you to us because we offered more money. That should never be a reason to sign anybody. You should never do it, because that tells you they're not coming for the right reasons. And when it's just for money, you're always going to be let down in the end. They're always going to let you down in the end, because they're not coming for there's no desire there. There isn't do you know what? I want to go to United. Yes, I want good money, but I want to go to United and be part of a team that does X, Y, and Z. There has to be an element of desire to achieve at that club, not just, you know what, I'm picking the one that pays me the most. Yeah. You're never going to win like that. And yeah, listen, Sancho, look, I hope he gets into training, works hard, gets back into the team, turns it around, delivers. Because if you can get that player performing, if you can get him right, he's a supreme talent. I really, really do. But my gut feeling tells me he's done out here at Man United. And look, at the end of the day, although the Palestris of this world aren't as talented as him, what are we actually missing with Jadon Sancho not being around? What we're missing, like 5 goals, 6 goals a season? I honestly think someone like Palestri, if you gave Palestri a run of 20 games, I guarantee you would deliver more than Sancho. By the way, and Anthony has done for us in the last year or so. But yeah, look, it is what it is for me. But I do want people to stop conflating this. When someone like you, Steve, says, I was told he has a bad attitude at training, people trying to turn that into you having a character assessment of his personality and how he is as a human being. It's not the same thing in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion.
There's a young kid at Manchester City, right, 2 years ago, called Jadon Braith. Yeah, Jadon Braith was the hottest property in Holland. Came to Manchester City, Dutch kid, smashed the academy up like it was nothing. Yeah, no problem. Same people told me, kid won't ever play for Manchester City Football Club. Why? He said, because his attitude stinks. He said his attitude stinks. He walks around the place like he owns it, doesn't listen to discipline, doesn't take his earrings out at training, doesn't turn up on time, doesn't do all this thing. Got a Range Rover, all the bollocks, yeah? Went to first team training first week. Otamendi nearly snapped him in 2. I think Stones gripped him up and threw him around a bit. Attitude gone. And then everyone in the City chat was saying, we need to play Braith. Is Braith going to play in the Champions League? Is Braith going to play in this, that and the other? No. Never set foot on the pitch for Man City. Went to Borussia Dortmund on a free. Now he's in Verona or somewhere on a free. Absolute waste of talent. And that's not, the guy might be the best guy ever, but coaches who coach him every day were telling me he'll never play for Manchester City. And that's because they don't suffer them kind of people there. They don't have that potential grenade to go off in a dressing room and upset the harmony there. You can't risk it. And harmony in football is a massive thing these days. You look, Kovacic signed for City. The first thing he said in the interview was, I can't believe how calm and how nice everyone is in the dressing room and that. So obviously he's come from that Chelsea team. It's gone a bit crazy over there. You lose the harmony in your team, you lose a big part of your football club. And these young kids, I don't think a well-run club, you might have all the talent in the world, but if you've got a bad attitude, they don't want you infecting another 9 players because they think they can behave like you. And that's just day-to-day life. You won't have someone in the workplace with a bad attitude in a factory packing biscuits, and he was throwing biscuits in and they were breaking and he didn't give a fuck, because then everyone starts doing it because he's doing it. Then all of a sudden, you're the broken biscuit gang, aren't you? And you ain't doing the productivity. So, you know,
mate,
it is what it is.
I totally agree. Looking at Man United, I remember watching the Class of 92 documentary, and I remember Raphael, I think he's in Raphael Burke was his name, and there was a few other players on there as well who were very good players. Another kid from London whose name I now forget. I'd have to go back and research it. And they were talking on the show, and they were asked a question around what was the difference between you guys that didn't make it and the Class of 92 that everybody knows. And essentially, and I'm paraphrasing here, he was like, Gary Neville wouldn't stop training. All Scholes he cared about was football. David Beckham, as much as he was a bit of a poser and loved nice clothes and everything else, he worked on his football first. He said the rest of us, training would finish, and those boys would nearly always stay back and do extra. He says, me and some of the other lads, especially the out-of-town boys that had come up from London and other places, some of us was considered, like Raphael was actually considered up until about 15, 16, the best of the bunch. But he goes, what we would all do is we'd finish training, we'd have a little bit of money in our pockets, boom, straight down the Arndale Centre, straight down Market Street. If you don't know Manchester, you don't know Manchester, trying to get girls. And that's what we were doing. And he said, I look back now and that's where it went wrong. We thought we'd made it. We thought we ruled Manchester. We thought we were the men. And he says, and the boys that ended up delivering were the ones who did not stop working. And that's talents like Giggs, talent like Beckham, talent like Paul Scholes, talent like Nicky Butt, who was a very, very good football player. It was about working hard. And for me, I always remember Rene Mullenstein talking about, you might not remember it, well, Adnan Januzaj was one of them, and the other lad was called, what was his name? He had his debut in the season that Moyes got sacked. I want to say his name, something James.
Reece James. Reece James, fullback.
No, James Wilson. That was it. James Wilson.
James Wilson, yeah.
And he got his debut that season and scored 2 goals against Hull. Rene Mullenstein tells a story about how Januzaj broke into the first team, and then so did James Wilson. And James Wilson was a real hot property talent from the academy, and we were all raving about him. And Rene Mullenstein said there was a change in them. Suddenly, the way they were sitting in jacuzzis, the way they were talking to other academy players, the way they just started holding themselves at training was like they'd made it. And getting into the first team doesn't mean you've made it. Not at a club like Man United. That's how the standard should be. And he almost said at that point, he kind of knew that their careers would dwindle. And it's almost like you can see it. And if there's nobody to get hold of these individuals, and by then Man United discipline levels had dropped, the standards had dropped, because Fergie was gone and it's got progressively worse. So this is why I'm annoyed at Sancho, but I'm more focused on the football club, because we have been burning talent now for a 10-year period. You know, and I still think, again, there are some players who have come in and worked hard and done the best they can, but there's been so many from our academy, some that we've purchased, who have just not hit the heights because they don't have the work ethic, which is why, by the way, I don't hate on Rashford. I don't hate on Bruno. I don't actually hate on Scott McTominay. I don't hate on AWB. I'll criticize them because these are the guys that work. The very least is I want you working hard for my team. That's a prerequisite. That has to be there as a base. When you're not even putting in the mileage, I've got no time or sympathy for you. And I can tell the people that don't work hard, because when you're older and you've experienced life, highly talented people that don't deliver are only failing because of a lack of work ethic. It's just, you're a business owner. You must have seen this. How many times have you hired or been around talented people that don't work hard enough and they're not achieving? That you've experienced it. And that's the thing for me. Like, I feel for Jadon, but maybe with the way he is as an individual professionally, coupled with Man United's lack of discipline and due diligence, together, it's a toxic combination that hasn't helped him and hasn't helped the club. And I go back to it, been saying it for 10 years, mate. Until the fans stand up and change who owns us and we change how we're run, this stuff will continue to happen. The only good element that's come out of this is, thank God, the board have backed the manager and not a player in terms of player power. Thank God we've learned from that mistake.
I think Ten Hag, he'll come from Ajax, which is a well-run club, to be fair. They've got a lot of old players in there, directors of football. I think Van der Sar was working there, things like that. They've got this, chain of command which knows what it's doing. And I've said it before, the United chain of command from the top to the manager's just not there. It's just not there. And it looks like all these leaks that are coming out of the club now, all these situations that the club's going through are not getting run proper by a proper club. And listen, I'm a City fan, so I ain't going to tell you that I give a shit. So for me, I could sit here and look and say, I love it, because United's in turmoil. Because let me tell you this, if City was in turmoil, they would love it. You know what I mean? They would love it. When we were shit, they loved it. So I'm not here to tell any Man United fan what to do. I'm just on the outside looking in. All I know is that City are doing all right. But these 1 minute Sancho, then Anthony, then Greenwood, that situation, thought he'd been released. Now he's not been released. He's on loan. So that means to me they're going to bring him back. Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans. Someone was saying Phil Jones is back training there now because he can't get a club and things like that. It's just, I just don't know. United fans must be just going fucking mental, especially the ones that go to the games week in and week out. The ones that have been there for years, that have seen the Fergie days now to this. They must be just be going crazy about
it. It's horrendous. It's all about how we're run. And I don't necessarily think Greenwood will play for us again. What we're doing is we're hanging on to him as an asset, hoping he does well in Spain on loan, and then we sell him for money. The Glazers, I mean, look, they could sell him for money and then go, look, we've got £50 million and we're going to, donate this to, domestic abuse charities. And then you'd probably look back and go, okay, fair enough. But they won't. They won't. It'll go into the coffers of the club. Big Steve, what is your reaction that Julian Alvarez being at the FIFA Best Player Awards?
Why not? He deserves it. Guy's won a treble and a World Cup. Don't get better than that.
Absolutely. This says, looks like I made this is someone pretending to be Todd Bowley, a lot of Liverpool fans angry about buying Caicedo. Back to what we were actually talking about before the Sancho news broke, the flops. I wanted to say that I agree with you, actually. I agree with you that it's like, it's a prediction and it's fair, but it's like a lot of people are all saying Maddison's 100% the signing of the season. He started well, but, Doku hasn't got going yet. Amrabat and Højlund haven't kicked balls as of yet. Let's not overlook what Declan Rice has done in a few short games. There's been loads of good signings that clubs have made that have barely kicked balls yet. We're 4 games in. I think it's far too premature to be making these statements. And they're not even, the way people are wording this isn't like they're saying, I think he will be. This is the worst signing. Terrible. I mean, some people have put Højlund on there. How are you judging a player that you haven't even seen kick a ball for us yet? It's weird to me.
Yeah, it's just, like I say, people are desperate for content. It's not a lot out there at the minute. They don't know what, let's just fire this list out, try and stir up a bit of a wasp nest or something. But yeah, it's boring, man. It's boring, that shit.
Mate, I couldn't agree with you more on that. In terms of the football coming back, though, interesting weekend of games. You're away, tough game at West Ham. You feeling confident about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. We've been there a couple of times in the last couple of seasons and not done the best there. They're doing okay. They beat Chelsea. I think they beat Luton. They're doing all right. They signed a couple of players from Ajax, Kudus and that are in there. So they're going to have, they're going to have some new signings. They're going to have the crowd behind them. But we just got to do what we do. Like I say, we've got some new signings, Nunes and that. Don't know if Jack will be fit. Foden's been playing well. He did well again for England the other night. Pep's back in the dugout, which is massive. So, yeah, I'm going tomorrow. I'm staying down there for the weekend. So I'm looking forward to it. But I think we get the job done. I don't think it'd be easy, but I think we get the 3 points. Yeah,
I mean, you've had a brilliant start, a brilliant start to the season in terms of performances, 4 wins from 4. First time Pep's done that. Out of all the things he's achieved, first time he's kind of done that. And you've laid down such an early gauntlet. I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be absolutely fine. West Ham are decent. Listen, I'd love it to be a shock because I feel like if you can get City dropping a few points early on in the season, it kind of keeps the hope of title races for other teams alive a little bit more. If you guys end up winning your first 10, 11, 12 games and everyone else drops points, it's over before it's even started.
I want one of them seasons, Terra, where we win it by Christmas because I can't handle it anymore. It just drains the life out of me going deep into these seasons like that. But I don't think it's going to happen like that. I think, we usually start slow, to be fair. First 10 games, we usually drop some. I can't see us going 10 games undefeated early doors. I can't. But, yeah, we're doing all right. And like you say, West Ham are doing okay. Brighton's been the team for me. The one I enjoy watching Brighton play football. I watched them the other day and I thought, stop playing football. I was talking to someone today about Jurgen Klopp and saying German national team might be interested in Klopp. If that's the case, if I'm Liverpool, I'd be straight on the phone to Brighton and get him out of there. 1,000,000%. Well,
timing's everything, and I think I've seen a few things saying that Klopp's distanced himself from that job. But the Klopps and the Peps of this world, they might still stay for another 4, 5, 6, 7 years. But maybe there's only 2 or 3 years left of them in the Premier League. And De Zerbi, if he keeps improving, I think both clubs would be looking at him. I suppose the only question mark is he hasn't won anything, and there is a difference between coaching a team and getting over the line and winning trophies. But yeah, Brighton have started the season well, and I'm worried about playing them this weekend. They're coming to Old Trafford. Look, we have a very, very good home record.
I think I'm sticking my neck out. I think United gets beat off Brighton at weekend.
Really? Yeah. Why do you think that will happen?
I just think they're a better team than you. I think on the pitch, they're a better team than you. I think they've got the team spirit. They play better football. They're dangerous. I think I can't imagine Man United being a happy place this week when they've come back. Can't imagine it being all rosy in the camp. And I just think if I'm playing Man United this weekend, I'm looking at that as a massive bonus. And I think Brighton will beat United.
Mate, it's a fair shout. They're the last team to beat us at Old Trafford in the league. So it would be almost kind of ironic or sort of poetic for them to be the team that breaks this 31-game unbeaten run. But I feel confident about it. I actually think that in our last couple of games, we've played quite well. I know we conceded early against Forest, with especially the second goal was a freak goal. It hit someone in the face. He didn't even try to head the ball and it went in. But we then played very well after that. I'm not saying Forest and Brighton are of the same level. And I thought we were well away from home against Arsenal, and hair's breadth away from being one of the very few teams to beat them at the Emirates in the league for a very, very long time. And I think there was something in that. Amrabat should be fit. I know he pulled out of international duty, but we know that. Having him in the middle, Højlund starting the game. Yeah, for me, I'm confident we can beat them. Am I going into this game thinking it's a foregone conclusion? No way. Brighton are very, very good indeed. The great thing about playing Brighton is they'll attack you. And I think that helps Man United in terms of there being space to run into, especially for the likes of Marcus Rashford and Højlund. But yeah, viewers, let us know what you think about that game. How about Arsenal? Because their fans are obviously very confident after the way they beat Manchester United. They're away against Everton, where they do have a bit of a patchy record in recent times.
No, they'll beat them. Everton's... Wow, Everton. Can't even describe it. They're shit. Proper shit. Look at the Everton team. There's not one player on that pitch that you'd have in your team. Not one. Not one player on that pitch you would have on your bench. So Arsenal, I expect to go there and flatten them. I do. That the other year was in the middle of the melting pot. It was getting to the business end of the season and things were getting a bit tough. And Everton was starting to... They got Sean Dyche in and they needed a change. And things were hottening up and they won. But the Arsenal will bury them. It'll be 4-1. Arsenal.
4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they should beat them. I know it's a place that they've gone to before and not always had the best of luck, but you're absolutely right. They should be beating a team like Everton. And Arsenal should be feeling so confident after the way they beat Man United in terms of winning games like that sometimes feels better than a comfortable 3-0 win because of the euphoria that comes with it. But Arsenal fans seem to be a bit more confidence now that, that they turn that corner 10 from 12 and their season almost really starts now. There's almost this feeling I'm sort of watching Arsenal content, listening to Arsenal fans that now the season really kicks for us. Our title charge from this point starts. We'll start putting in more convincing performances. Are you sold by that confidence from Gunners?
We've seen about all the confidence and stuff. We said it all last season. Nobody, we know. I know how they're going to react. They know how we're going to react. So they've been playing well. They've not had a bad start to the season. The Fulham game was a disappointment. Obviously, they've signed the players they want to sign. They've just got to keep doing what they're doing and get to where they need to get to. The only good season for them after finishing second is to win the league. So they've got to go and win the league now. So, like I said, no point dancing around at the end of September when you've put a few wins together because it means now you've got to go and do it. And, City we ain't giving that title up to no one. So I'm looking forward to the challenge, yeah. But I think they wipe the floor with Everton. They've had a good start. Champions League starts next week as well. So we'll see how that plays out. But no, the season's just getting going, man. I'm looking forward to it. I
agree. How about Chelsea? Because Chelsea have got an interesting game. They're away to Bournemouth. And when I say interesting, they were beat by Nottingham Forest in their last match. Bournemouth struggling, but Chelsea's lack of ability to put the ball in the back of the net. It almost feels like there's a lot of pressure on this game because it is essentially must win, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, Chelsea, like you say, it's a mismatch over there. You just don't know what you're going to get from them. You can't really call it because one game you see them and they're playing really good football. Raheem Sterling looks like he's back to his best, and you think, fair play, Chelsea look a bit of a decent team. Then the next game, they're totally different again. They just look out the depth. They can't finish the chances. They're getting caught out. But I think that's what you get when you get this mismatch of players together. You throw them all together. It's not just going to be everyone clicks into gear and plays how you want to play. The manager's got a big job on his hands. Tricky place, Bournemouth, small ground, tight, compact. Be a tough game. Be a tough game for Chelsea. But, they know what they've got to do. Last season was a bad season. They've got no European competition this year to worry about. They've just got to focus on getting them players in a system that works for that manager and concentrating on getting back on the horse, because at the minute, they're miles off it.
Yeah, listen, I still think they'll come good. I still think what Chelsea are doing and building will come good. I do. I can't see this amount of investment, the ambition just failing. Like they're not firing on all cylinders, but it isn't for a lack of trying. And although Man United are ahead of them right now, I would still rather have their owners than mine. I still would rather have owners that are trying to build something, and theirs might be a project that takes longer to get to the optimum level. But I still think like they're trying to build something that is long-term, sustainable, and high quality, with the ambition to win all the major trophies. Where with my club, I don't think we're trying to do that at all. And I still rather have Chelsea's owners than mine. And I actually think a lot of fans would swap with their owners, even though it looks a little bit unorthodox. So I think it will come good for them. But we will see with that one. In terms of some comments here, I think there's a few super chats. Terry, how do I get the setup for 3 p.m. games? You need NordVPN. DM me, I'll send you a link. And then you sign up to Setanta Sport. Best thing to switch it to is Georgia, not Moldova. It works better out of Georgia. And you watch the games, and it's $3.99 a month. Completely legal way to stream. You're just subscribing to a genuine app on your iPhone using a VPN. VPNs are not illegal. So that way you don't risk getting in trouble. It's a clean stream, so it doesn't break down or suddenly shut off. So that's what you got to do. But DM me and I'll tell you how to set it up, my bro. Despite what Daniel Levy is doing, I like Spurs now. Big Ange knows what he's doing. There's a lot of gas around Spurs right now. Their fans are buzzing.
Yeah, well, listen, it could have gone very wrong for Tottenham. They sold Harry Kane. If they'd have started the season bad, the Tottenham fans could have gone off, you know what I mean, and said, you've sold Harry Kane, we've got Ange in, da-da-da-da. It's not. It's turned out that we know Ange is a good manager. He's starting to put his stamp on it. I think the best thing they did was sell Kane. You're now not known as the Harry Kane team. You're now known as Tottenham Hotspur. You now can go in a different direction. They're playing good football. Signing a Maddison for that money was ridiculous. Fantastic signing. Why Manchester United did not buy him for that price, I do not know, because he's perfect for them. But yeah, they're going to have a good season. They look good. It's all right having that early bounce with the new manager. Things could come thick and fast in the middle of the season, but I think Tottenham are going in the right direction, and I think the Kane going to Bayern thing just cuts this period of Harry Kane, Tottenham at an end, and then it's like a bit of a restart for him, you know what I mean?
I agree. I think I always felt Harry Kane leaving would help Tottenham and make them a better team, because it can be galvanizing, especially when the players will sit there in the they'll sit there in the training ground with Sky Sports on, or they're listening to the radios or on socials, hearing how Spurs are done. That galvanizes people. It makes it, we'll show you how bad we're going to be without Kane. And that's no disrespect to him. So they've started well, and it doesn't feel like new manager bounce. It feels like a team that's playing really good football, that has a bit of confidence and swagger back about it. Now, whether that translates in the future to trophies or not is another debate and another question. But I think they're right. They have got their Tottenham back right now. A team that's good, plays nice football. Let's see how much kind of further that can go.
The thing is with Tottenham, when you watch Tottenham in that documentary on Amazon, the place stunk. You looked at there was players pulling up in training. I've hurt my leg, he's kicked me and all that. And fuck, it just looked like a soft ass place to be. And you look round, it didn't look like it had winners there. It didn't look like it had any aggression in there. It just looked like soft and shit. That's why when Mourinho was in there, he was trying to bring this hard image to the club, and everyone was a snowflake and everyone was melting every time Mourinho did something. And then they brought Conte in, same kind of manager, very stern-faced, very angry, started trying to put discipline around the place. Didn't work. This Ange has come in. He's a very nice, well-spoken guy. He's gone with a different approach. He knows football. He's very tactical. He goes in the press conference. He's got all the press eating out of his hands. He's very, very knowledgeable. He'll talk to everybody. And I think he's made Spurs a nice place to work. And I think the players are buying into it, and they look like they're enjoying the football. Whereas under Mourinho and Conte, they look like they couldn't fucking wait to get out of there after training. You know what I mean? They didn't want to be anywhere near the gaff. So I think it's a breath of fresh air. I think he's just give Tottenham a new kick. And Yeah, I like him. I think he's good. I like him.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. This here says, Terry, why do you cover small clubs like Spurs and City? That's from Top Gooner. Cheers, mate. I'm taking it one game at a time. I'm worried about injuries to Maddison, Romero, and Son. Yeah, listen, I get why you'd worry about that. And I think that's why Spurs fans shouldn't get too carried away. I wouldn't start running my mouth off the other clubs yet and acting like you've just won the Champions League or the Premier League, because a few injuries or a little bad patch and things can come on top. But I think you're right, mate. It's been a very, very good start. And I think Ange just started very, very well in English football. He really has. Steve, look, I want to say a big thank you, mate, for you coming on and giving us your views and opinions today. Me and Steve will be back next week when there's actually been some football and obviously far more to delve into and talk about as well. We're live at 6 p.m. for the Top 6 show with the panel getting ready for the return of the Premier League. So make sure you're back with us. And this video will take you to that one. So go there now and bookmark it, like it, ready for that at 6 p.m. Steve, always a pleasure to speak football with you, mate.
Cheers, mate.
No worries. Viewers, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we will see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.